Welcome to Lazy But GK One-Liner, your smart stop for quick and powerful GK. Today's class 1 covers the transition from ancient to early medieval India, including political change, regional states after Harsha, administration, society, culture, and economy. Let's get started. Transition from ancient to early medieval India, c. 650 to 750 CE. Section 1. Political transition. Question 1. What event marked the end of the classical Gupta age in North India in the 6th century CE? Answer. The collapse of the Gupta Empire in the mid-6th century CE marked the end of the classical Gupta age. Question 2. What political development symbolized the fragmentation of North India after the decline of the Gupta Empire? Answer. The emergence of multiple small regional kingdoms across the Gangetic plains symbolized political fragmentation. Question 3. Who founded the Pushyabhuti, also known as the Vardhana dynasty, in early medieval North India? Answer. The Pushyabhuti dynasty was founded by Pushyabhuti, a minor ruler of Sthaneshwara, present-day Thanesar. Question 4. Which ruler reunified much of North India after the decline of Gupta authority? Answer. Harshvardhana reunified large parts of North India after the Gupta decline. Question 5. In which year did Harshvardhana ascend the throne of Thanesar in North India? Answer. Harshvardhana ascended the throne in 606 CE. Question 6. Which city served as the capital of Harshvardhana's empire? Answer. Kannauj served as the capital of Harshvardhana's empire. Question 7. Which Chinese Buddhist pilgrim visited India during the reign of Harshvardhana? Answer. Xuanzang visited India during Harshvardhana's reign. Question 8. What was the geographical extent of Harshvardhana's empire in North India? Answer. His empire extended from Punjab to Odisha but excluded the Deccan region. Question 9. Which ruler of the Deccan defeated Harshvardhana and halted his southern expansion? Answer. Pulkesin II of the Chalukya dynasty defeated Harshvardhana. Question 10. What political significance did the Narmada River acquire after the conflict between Harsha and Pulkesin II? Answer. The Narmada River became the boundary between northern and southern political powers. Section 2. Regional states after Harsha. Question 11. What happened to Harshvardhana's empire after his death in 647 CE? Answer. His empire disintegrated into independent kingdoms due to the absence of a successor. Question 12. Which regions emerged as independent political powers after the collapse of Harsha's empire? Answer. Bengal, Assam, Rajasthan, and the Deccan emerged as independent powers. Question 13. Which political kingdom rose to prominence in Bengal during the post-Harsha period? Answer. The Gauda kingdom rose to prominence in Bengal. Question 14. Who is considered the first major independent ruler of Bengal in early medieval India? Answer. Shashanka is regarded as the first major independent ruler of Bengal. Question 15. Which kingdom emerged as a major political power in Assam during the early medieval period? Answer. The Kamrupa kingdom emerged as a major power in Assam. Question 16. Who was the most renowned ruler of the Kamrupa kingdom in early medieval India? Answer. Bhaskarvarman was the most famous ruler of Kamrupa. Question 17. Which dynasty ruled Saurashtra after the decline of Gupta political authority? Answer. The Maitraka dynasty ruled Saurashtra. Question 18. What was the capital city of the Maitraka rulers of Saurashtra? Answer. Vallabhi was the capital of the Maitraka dynasty. Question 19. Which dynasty succeeded the Vaktakas in the Deccan region during early medieval times? Answer. The Chalukyas of Badami succeeded the Vaktakas. Question 20. Who was the greatest ruler of the early Chalukya dynasty of Badami? Answer. Pulkesin II was the greatest ruler of the early Chalukyas. Section 3. Administration and political changes. Question 21. How did the political structure of India change after the Gupta period? Answer. Centralized administration declined and regional feudal systems emerged. Question 22. What term was used for local chiefs who gained administrative and military power in early medieval India? Answer. Such local chiefs were known as Samantas. Question 23. How did the rise of Samantas affect royal authority in early medieval India? Answer. It weakened central control and promoted political decentralization. Question 24. What type of land grants were commonly given by early medieval rulers to officials and priests? Answer. Tax-free land grants known as agraharas were commonly given. Question 25. Which historical sources provide information about land grants in early medieval India? Answer. Copper plate inscriptions record details of land grants. Question 26. What role did village assemblies play in early medieval administration? Answer. Village assemblies managed local governance, irrigation, and revenue. Question 27. How did administrative and military offices change during the early medieval period? Answer. Many offices became hereditary in nature. Question 28. What was the defining political feature of early medieval Indian polity? Answer. Feudal decentralization was the defining feature. Question 29. How did the concept of kingship evolve in early medieval India? Answer. Kingship became ritualistic and was legitimized through Brahmanical ceremonies. Question 30. What administrative system replaced the centralized Gupta bureaucracy? Answer. A hierarchical system of feudatories replaced centralized bureaucracy. Section 4. Religion and Society. Question 31. Which religion experienced revival under regional rulers in early medieval India? Answer. Hinduism experienced revival. Question 32. Which sects of Hinduism gained prominence during the early medieval period? Answer. Shaivism and Vaishnavism gained prominence. Question 33. What factors led to the decline of Buddhism in North India during early medieval times? Answer. Declining royal patronage and internal divisions weakened Buddhism. Question 34. Which form of Buddhism spread widely in eastern India during the early medieval period? Answer. Mahayana Buddhism spread widely in Bengal and Bihar. Question 35. How did temples function in early medieval Indian society? Answer. Temples acted as centers of religion, administration, and social life. Question 36. Which devotional religious movement began emerging in India during the later early medieval period around the 7th-8th centuries CE? Answer. The early Bhakti movement began emerging, especially in South India. Question 37. How did the social status of women change during the early medieval period in India? Answer. The status of women declined due to increased patriarchy and restrictions. Question 38. Which major social transformation characterized early medieval Indian society? Answer. Expansion of land-based hierarchy and caste stratification characterized the period. Question 39. What role did Brahmins play in early medieval Indian society? Answer. Brahmins became influential as landholders, priests, and royal advisors. Question 40. Which social institution was strengthened by the system of land grants in early medieval India? Answer. The Varna system was strengthened. Section 5. Art, Architecture, and Literature. Question 41. Which styles of temple architecture began developing in early medieval India? Answer. The Nagara and Dravida styles began developing. Question 42. Which monument represents the early Dravida style of temple architecture in South India? Answer. The Shore Temple at Mahabalipuram represents early Dravida architecture. Question 43. What type of sculpture was promoted under the Pallav rulers of South India? Answer. Rock-cut monolithic sculptures depicting Hindu deities were promoted. Question 44. Which literary work by Banbhatta provides historical information about Harshvardhana's reign? Answer. Harshacharita provides information about Harshvardhana's reign. Question 45. What form of literature dominated early medieval Indian cultural life? Answer. Sanskrit literature and court poetry dominated. Question 46. Which major centers of learning continued to flourish after the Gupta period? Answer. Nalanda and Vallabhi continued to flourish. Question 47. What was the main characteristic of early medieval Indian art? Answer. Art became regional and strongly religious in theme. Question 48. Which inscriptions are the most important sources for early medieval Indian history? Answer. Copper plate and stone inscriptions are key sources. Question 49. Which Chalukya monument reflects the transition in early medieval temple architecture? Answer. The Virupaksh temple at Pattadakal reflects this transition. Question 50. What building material became dominant in early medieval temple construction? Answer. Stone became the dominant construction material. Section 6. Economy and Trade. Question 51. What major economic shift occurred in India after the Gupta period? Answer. The economy shifted from trade-based to land-based systems. Question 52. Which economic system developed due to widespread land grants in early medieval India? Answer. A feudal agrarian system developed. Question 53. How did trade patterns change during the early medieval period? Answer. Long-distance trade declined while local trade expanded. Question 54. What happened to urban centers in India during the early medieval transition? Answer. Many urban centers declined while temple-based towns emerged. Question 55. What change occurred in coinage during early medieval India? Answer. Debased metal coins replaced high-quality Gupta gold coins. Question 56. How did temples contribute to the early medieval economy? Answer. Temples managed land and facilitated economic exchange. Question 57. Which regions of India remained active in maritime trade during early medieval times? Answer. The western and southern coastal regions remained active. Question 58. What was the primary occupation of the population in early medieval India? Answer. Agriculture was the primary occupation. Question 59. Which agricultural improvements